Welcome, friends. Today we will discuss one of the most happening and the hot topics in the market, or I should say, in the test automation industry, which is what is Selenium. So, I have been constantly receiving questions from many people like, what is Selenium? How is it different from the other tools? Or what I should do to learn Selenium? How can I start working on Selenium? Right. So, what basically Selenium is? So, guys, to your surprise, Selenium is not a tool, right? Unlike the other automation tools which gets installed onto your system, or they comes with an exe through which you install it on your system, right? So, Selenium is basically is a API, right? Selenium is an API. Now, what is an API? So guys, API is basically a set of libraries which contains the definition of classes and the methods definition, which helps us in interacting with our web application or the application under test. Right. So the next thing is Selenium automates only browsers. Nothing more, nothing less. Unlike qtb, which automates many different type of applications, like qtb is able to automate your desktop applications, right? Qtb is able to automate your terminal emulator, but Selenium only automates web based applications. And it's actually I mean, if you see the trend of the IT industry, many applications nowadays are being built in the web based architecture. Primarily the reason being the everything is moved on to cloud. So most of the applications which are being designed are the web based, right? Now, what are the components of Selenium? Right, as you can see, it has four components. The first component is Selenium IDE, second one being the Selenium RC, third one being the Selenium Webdriver, and fourth is Selenium Grid. Right, guys? So basically, Selenium IDE, it is nothing but an add-on to Firefox, right, guys? So what it is basically, it's just a record and replay features. So if and it runs only with Firefox. You cannot run your test using Selenium IDE on IE or Chrome or let's say Safari. It only runs with Firefox, right? Now there are few other demerits of Selenium IDE, or I should say limitations, which are like the customization of code is not possible. What you record is the only thing that you can replay, right? If you want to, let's say, put in a loop, or you want to run your test multiple times with different set of data, that is not possible through Selenium IDE, right? Now, the second component of Selenium is Selenium RC, right, guys? So, Selenium RC came into existence like back in 2006 2007, right? Now, for Selenium RC, we need to start a remote server, right, guys? So, all the code that you will write will interact with a server, and that server will in turn interacts with your browser, right? Now basically what Selenium RC server will do, it will inject its own JavaScript code into the browser. Now there are a couple of demerits to it. JavaScript insertion into a browser makes the execution slower. You might have seen a couple of times in IE like a JavaScript error on the bottom of a page. Right. Moreover, sometimes our test gets failed on IE primarily because of the JavaScript insertion. Right. Now, what are the features of RC? As you can see, it supports multiple browsers, it supports multiple languages, beg your pardon, right? It supports Python, JavaScript, Ruby, C Sharp, PHP, Java, and it supports multiple platform. I mean, unlike UTB, which only gets programmed, or this, we can only write this, its script in VB, which only runs when Windows, right? But we can write our Selenium RC scripts using Java, and you can run it anywhere on any platform, be it Linux, be it Mac, or be it Windows. Moreover, you can also run it on multiple browsers, right? Safari, Firefox, Chrome, IE, Opera. So that's, I mean, these are some of the very exciting features of Selenium RC, which many paid tools lag nowadays, right, guys? So let's move on to the other component of Selenium, which is Selenium WebDriver. Right, now Selenium WebDrive is the new thing in, and majority of the development which is going on in automation, or many automation engineers choose to write their Selenium scripts in WebDriver, because there are so many advantage WebDriver gives over the Selenium RC. And many of the work which this is going on in the Selenium is going on WebDriver. I mean, the Google developers are launching everyday new functionalities in WebDriver, right? And when we have already discussed Selenium RC, so I should tell you that Selenium RC is mainly used by those companies which have their frameworks developed in Selenium RC. So they are still using Selenium RC just to maintain their old frameworks. Right, now let's discuss WebDriver in a detail. Okay, so in WebDriver we do not need to start a separate server, right? Our scripts directly deals with the browser automation API, right? So it has couple of advantages. Advantages number one, it does not inject its script into the browser, and hence it doesn't make the execution slower. It supports, just like RC, it supports all sorts of platform. It supports different programming languages. I mean, if you're comfortable with Python, you can write your scripts in Python. If you're comfortable with C Sharp, you can write your scripts in C Sharp, right? So and just like I mentioned earlier, you can write your code once and you can run it on multiple browsers. You can run it on Android, you can run it on iOS, you can run it on Linux, right, guys? Okay, just to mention here, you must be thinking that why so many languages provided by Selenium. So guys, it's not like if your application is built in C Sharp, you need to write your scripts in C Sharp. No, it's not like that. Any language that you are comfortable with, you can write your scripts using that language. All you need to do, you just need to import your API for Selenium in that language, right? Okay, now let's move on to a next Selenium component. Okay, now Selenium Grid. I mean, this is another very happening or the hot topic in the field of test automation, and it's component of Selenium only. So, guys, I mean, in the today's testing field or the today's testing industry, we came across the requirements where we have to run our test not only on multiple browsers, right, but we also have to run on their different versions, right? So I mean, I basically run my test on, let's say, Firefox version 26 to Firefox version 30, Chrome version 30 to Chrome version 35, I version 8 to I version 10. So it's not just the browsers. I mean, the versions also plays a major part in testing, right, guys? Now, through Selenium Grid, we can achieve parallel execution. For example, if I want my test to be executed parallelly on different browsers, we can actually achieve that using Selenium Grid, right? And obviously it makes cross-browser testing possible since we are testing on multiple browsers, right? And third advantage, or the major advantage, is that it helps us in achieving the execution results in much lesser time. Like, just imagine guys, if you have all the, let's say, 5 version for Firefox, 5 version for Chrome, and let's say 4 versions for IE, and you are running your tests sequentially, just imagine how much time it will take, right? But using Selenium Grid we can do the execution parallelly, and it will give us the results in much lesser time, right? Now let's have a look at the architecture of Selenium Grid. Okay, as you can see guys, I have hub and it has 4 nodes connected to it, right? Now hub is basically a server that we start, right? And nodes are basically those different machines which contains the different set of browsers, right? Now what we need to do exactly to configure a grid, what we need to do, we need to register our one of the or the nodes to our hub, right? Now hub is again a machine which have a server running on it, right? So when I register all these nodes to my hub, right, so now my hub knows which machine contains which browsers, right? Now once I run a test on hub, it will see like what browsers or what capabilities I need for this particular test. For example, if my test demands to be executed on Chrome, so what my hub will do, it will search all the nodes, and let's say if it finds Chrome on, let's say, node number 2, so what it'll do, it will direct my test onto node 2, right? So this is how Selenium Grid works. Basically we have to give knowledge to our hub, like which machine contains which browsers, and rest of the things will be automatically handled by our hub, right? So this was all about the Selenium components. Now let's have a look at the other features. Now Selenium supports all the major frameworks that we have. For example, Java have multiple frameworks, or the, I should say, the testing frameworks of Java: JUnit, TestNG, or JBehave. I mean, developers write their test or the unit test in JUnit, right? So we can very easily integrate our or the framework testing frameworks of Java with Selenium, which I mean, when you start working on Selenium, you might find it very handy, because it gives you the, because Selenium does not have its own reporting structure, but incorporating these different type of testing frameworks provided to us by Java, we can actually get very what should I say, very user friendly reports, very graphical in nature. So that is an add-on to Selenium, because it's get integrated with these sort of frameworks very easily, right? Now it also get integrated with many different type of tools like Cucumber, which helps us in developing our BDD testing frameworks, right? And when we talk about the various type of automation frameworks that we have in the market, I mean, we have data driven framework, we have hybrid framework, we have keyword driven framework, right? All those different type of frameworks we can easily create in Selenium. We can create that in Selenium RC, we can create that in Selenium Webdriver, right? Now there is another new thing in which is page object model, and guys, this is only supported by Selenium. No other tool or any paid tool supports this exciting framework. Okay, guys, nowadays we are following an approach which is, or the we should say, very happening tool, happening technology, or should say approach in the software industry, which is the continuous integration, right? So Selenium provides integration with many deployment tool or many other tools which helps us in integrating with the application. For example, it can Selenium can be easily integrated with Apache Ant, Maven, Jenkins, TeamCity. I personally use the integration with TeamCity. So what this continuous integration actually means, guys, in our project, what we do, as soon as the deployment or the development team they finish with their deployment, right? Right after that, our Selenium test gets fired. It's not like that we have scheduled. I mean, we have actually specified like what should be the steps in the team city, which is a deployment tool. So what happens once the development teams checks in their code, that deploys it onto their server, that deployment gets over automatically using team city, our test cases gets fired. So there and there we can actually assess, or we can actually have the results or the quality of build that has been deployed, because the moment the deployment gets over, our Selenium test gets fired and they actually runs and verifies whether the application is behaving as per their nature, right? So it comes in very handy. For example, if the development team they are deploying their application on the night, so in the morning when I come to my office, I will have my deployment or the results ready with me, right? So guys, I should say Selenium provides all the features that you need to improve the quality of your software, any methodology that you are following. So Selenium is a thing. Till then, keep innovating, keep automating. Bye guys.